And now we go on to the Bloodstained Corporal, which is a Tyrant AU story I wrote. And here we go, another Rexora review. So this is what you were hinting at in Chapter 3 of Consequences. I guess if a top and emotionally semi-unstable blade with the slightest hint of enjoyment when using the XTX equivalent to the Kaioken were to go Maverick, this would be the end result. It's a long... as cliche as it sounds, the only thing just about missing from this setting is some heavy rain thunderstorms in the forecast. I imagine Janix would look even more terrifying with her features obscured by the torrent. Yeah, you know, I was considering that briefly. Like, after you said that, I'm like, shit, I should have done that, and I didn't. So, that's like, but then I used it in Ordinary Day. So, there's always that. Yeah, Bloodstained Corporal was an idea I had simply because the Discord has a Tyrant AU, where it was like, what if your cross went crazy and became a Tyrant for one reason or another? Like, whatever the reason was. And in Janix's case, I definitely think, like, it took me a while to figure out what would drive her over the edge, but it was the most obvious thing, and it would be Alexa. Just, like, very easily, it would be Alexa. Because Janix has spent her entire life since she woke up on Mira in a really frazzled and horrible state, and Alexa is the first thing to bring it together and give her some stability, something to hook onto. So if that was ripped away from her, there'd be no hope. Basically, none. Originally, the story was Cruz, Doug, and Bose going out, and Doug and Bose getting killed in the battle. And there was actually some Doug and Bose dialogue. It was my first time ever writing Bose. But it didn't feel as impactful for Janix to kill Doug and Bose as it did for her to kill Fry, Irina, and Gwen, who were actually closer with her. So I just had Doug and Bose killed off screen. And there was another thing that I was considering doing, and I decided not to, and I was extending the ending to basically it was going to be a page break, and it was going to be Elma leading a rescue team and finding everybody dead. And then she would find Cruz and Janix like in the middle of like this battle-scarred forest, like destroyed trees, wrecked shit everywhere, just absolutely destroyed from the overclock, from both their overclocks. And she would find them both on the floor, like hugging, and she would go to check them, and they're both dead. So I originally envisioned that scene as being that Cruz kills Janix, and then but he himself was mortally wounded during the battle, and so after she falls to the floor dead, he crawls over to her and embraces her and then dies. So those were scenes that I was thinking of, and part of me thinks maybe it would have also been raining during that scene, and I probably think part of me was thinking of including that, but I think just ending on the clash and being like, well, what happens next? Did Cruz die? Did Janix die? Did they both die? Either way, nothing good came of that AU, but nothing ever does when it involves literally everyone dying. And now we got Ordinary Day, which, yay, misleading title. Woe to the man who gets the position of weatherman on Mira. Still, if someone can get a good forecasting system up and running to mirror and weather, that could ultimately save a lot of Blade's lives. Probably. But mirror weather is weird. Honestly, I was expecting a bigger gap than a 7-point lead in Gaweed's favor. That with how much Cruz got beat up in the first few chapters of training, stay sharp, that or Cruz covered a lot of ground as he improved, though with the way I'm gonna put it, I don't know. Yeah, you know, I was thinking of making the gap bigger, but part of me was like thinking, should it really be that big? Like, how is he improving if it's this big? And another part of me, like a small part of me was like, well, I don't want him to be losing by too much because he's Cruz, he's my character. But I definitely do think the lead should have been bigger. Like, I definitely think if I could, that would be the one thing I'd change. I'd go back and make the numbers, but maybe like 13, 14-point lead, something like that. And we'll never know who won in Noctilum that day. Yeah, that whole Noctilum thing makes it seem really weird because it's like, it makes me feel like this story takes place after the next story I have planned. Because at the end of Phantom, she said that she's going to Oblivia to meet with Gaboid, and then here it's like, are you going to Oblivia again? And it was like, no. And I'm like, well, then maybe she went to Oblivia to meet with Gaboid a separate time. But then in Phantom, I mentioned that that her going to Oblivia to meet with Gaboid now will be the first time that they're meeting since Scales and Love. And this story fits in between Scales and Love and Phantom. So once again, it wouldn't make any sense. So I wrote it off as an inconsistency. That there's a lot of inconsistencies through this story because you don't know what's real and what's fake, which is the whole point of the story. Now I want to see Tatsu photoshopped into a GIF with Charlie Brown trying to kick a football. I wonder if Fry would even dare break out his flask if Janix's cooking is involved. I mean, given that Janix and Fry drink a lot, I don't think she'd be too offended. But it's always interesting to think about. They have a fun relationship. How kind of the ghosts of the past to let Janix be, both in her sleep and in her daily life. Well, always wondered how much Definians were, how much machine Definians were, at least compared to Mims. Anyways, guess I would never visualize the Definian lying on the grass before. Supposing any of them would be Aereo first. Yeah. I'm sure even without Janix, the murderess would come out the winner. At least she did in my playthrough with the choice I made. Of course, something went wrong that day. Since when does a whole day on Mirror ever go completely right? Exactly. Oh, was not expecting a Mario 2 there. No wonder things seemed to go so well and fly by so quickly for Janix. But how did she know about the parts she wasn't there for? Like Elma's in her thoughts, and what Cruz said to her back in Do I Know Me? At any rate, guess it's a whole new breed of nightmares for Janix now that her old ones don't seem to occur anymore. And it looks like separation anxiety is the cause. Poor girl. First night's always the hardest. Though who knows in Janix's case. Hopefully Alexa can come back soon. Yeah, so this definitely was shortly after Skulls and Love. Shortly after the pair gets together. And Alexa goes off for a mission with Lynn. An outfitter mission that she has to do. And she's like, you'll be fine, right? And Janix is like, totally, of course. And then this happens. And the whole point of the story was, as it was written, because of all the scene breaks and all the times that Janix talks about taking a nap, it was supposed to be written in a way where it's like, wait, did she actually fall asleep now? Was this where the dream started? How about this? And once again, there's the inconsistencies that even lead more, including Janix. There's a scene with Mia and Janix talking. And she's like, do you have plans? And she's like, I feel like I should have one. And that's because she's unable to recall Alexa, having a date with Alexa or something like that. It is the same with when she's going out with Elma and they're having that little kind of suggestive talk. And then she's like, and then Janix is like, huh, wait, who would I be with? You know, it's like just a bunch of things aren't making any sense throughout the entire story, in various ways. A bunch of things could be fake, a bunch of things could be real. Like, the only fake thing could be the fight at the end with Cruz fighting Janix and Elma, or the whole thing could be fake, or everything except that could be real. That was the whole point of the story. It's just showing Janix's new problem, basically, or her new wave of issues that she has. So she doesn't completely get over her squad mates through Skulls and Love, but she definitely gets in a much better place to handle it. Sleeping is still a coin toss for her, though. Could end up good, could end up bad. There's no way to know until she just lets herself fall asleep and lets it happen. Anyway, so that's the end of this video. That's the end of my reviews. I don't think I forgot anything. Right, there was something I wanted to say in my last video that you said that, what was it? You made a comment about the story being tagged something in one of your old reviews. Right, Skulls and Love being classified as romance and hurt comfort. And it made me think like, oh, that I consider that spoiler, but not because of the romance hurt comfort thing, because of the tags in other stories. It just made me think of New Emissaries, my Fire Emblem fanfic. Ike Titania was never really supposed to happen. It just kind of did as I was writing the story, and so I'm like, ooh. So as soon as it actually got very obviously romantic, I added it to the story. So originally it was just Sora and Mia the whole way through, until I got to like chapter 20 whatever or something, that something important happened, and I just popped it in there, added it in as another pairing for the story. So as kind of like a surprise. But now that it's there permanently, it's not really so much of a shock for anyone else if they ever come into the story. They'll be able to actually, because they'll be looking for it, they'll see the scenes, the small scenes that originally had no romantic context to them, and be like, that's romantic context because the tag says so. You know, that's another issue that I have with the upcoming story that I am writing, because the next big story is another Janix-focused story, the sequel to Phantom. It'll be a Janix-focused story of her in Oblivia with Gubweed for a week. That's the setup. I have the setup. I have the premise. I have everything all set and done for it. Like you know, premise-wise, I have everything that I need to do. I know what the overarching story is going to be for the week that she's there, and know everything that's going to happen. I have some really cool things that I've planned for that story. almost started writing it until I realized that I can't keep going. You know, Phantom and Ordinary Day both take place after Scales and Love. I need to go back and finish Scales and Love. The other one-shot that I was going to write, Why, relies heavily on one piece of information from Scales and Love that you won't be getting until chapters 13/14. So, yeah. Anyway, so I do want to give you something in terms of Scales and Love because I haven't started writing anything. I did, but I lost it. But basically, so Scales and Love 12 mission right now is at 0 words. It's just a bunch of like synopsises and stuff for me to look at, but I will start writing it soon. So I want to give you something for Scales and Love. And so I decided I'll give you the titles of chapters 13 and 14. You know, it's just a little thing to think about. That said, I don't know which one is going to go where. I'm having a really huge issue with 13 and 14 in the ways of I know what parts I want to cover, but I don't know which one should be 13, which one should be 14, or they should be combined in a way. It's a confusing thing, and I'm being very vague about it, so I'm not spoiling anything. But the chapter titles are Origin and Fallout, and I don't know if 13 is Origin, or if 13 is Fallout, or if 14 is Origin, or if 14 is Fallout. I have no clue, but those are the chapter titles. So I hope that they get your mind worrying a bit, and I swear to you that I'm going to be opening up Scales and Love either today, it's the 14th, or just sometime this week to and start writing it. At the very least, get the preparations out of the way and write it up until the fight scene starts, because that chapter is going to be fight scene. That's all that's it's going to be set up, everyone deploying to Oblivia, and then fight scene right up until it ends. So that's going to be fun to write. I really want to write it, so I'm going to try. Anyway, I hope you're all excited for that. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed Phantom, and look forward to Scales and Love 12 mission. I have no clue when, why after that, and then the Oblivia Janix Gabweed story after that. Yeah, we got a lot of writing stuff to do. So until next time, Asa.